going to wait for this to appear. Okay, so I'm going to put it there. Okay, so let's do that. So where to go? Ex14, and of course I'm going to save this into my own folder, which is in this case here. Okay, and create. So what we'd like to have is this table that we're going to name. What's the name of this table? Table 1. That's all. But actually it says not save the table with the name courses and make C code field as a primary key. So I'm going to do that later on. Actually, why is this? Is because basically I'm closing this. I'm going to create in table design, and I'm going to do this. Okay, my advice to you: you copy here the names. You can copy them, but the rest just type it. Okay, because we had so many problems with copying and pasting things like this. For example, you copy this one, you have a problem. So don't copy it, just type it. So you go for the validation rule, and then you type like what was it? BS and 3 hashes keys. And now with the validation rule starts BS and 3 numbers. I'm going to it's okay, but I'm going to adapt it as so and replace this with and. It looks much better. Also rename this with lowercase n. Anyway, so this is done for the first thing. The other one, CNAME, I'm going to copy it again for the name, and then text 50. Make sure that you put the right field size. C hours, number, and field size byte. So it's number and field size. I can type also B here, and it's going to autocomplete for me. And credits, I'm going to save. Credits, this is a number again, number and bytes as well, so B, and it's going to complete this for me. What is left? TID, which is number, integer, so number, and this is integer, and we have this like in the validation rule, and this in the validation text. So I'm going to copy this in the validation text, and validation rule I'm going to type it myself, because this is what sometimes creates some problems when you copy and paste. Okay, now I'm done with this table, and I just need to save it as these courses. So copy, sorry. Okay, let's save as courses, and that's done. And I forgot to choose the primary key, because do you want to create the primary key now? I'm going to click on cancel, so allow me to go back and click on this primary key. So this C code is my primary key, and now I'm done. I'm ready to close this. What's the name? Save changes. What's the name? Is courses again, and that's it. I'm going to be putting the values, well, some of them, not all of them. I'm going to create the form wizard, just select everything, finish, and I don't need that. So the course code, it's always better, even if I don't ask you to enter, create a form to enter the date, the records in your tables. Always a good idea to do that through forms, so you don't have some problems. Create one, and then 111. I'm going to enter this one as well, and then copy and paste 3. This is 3 1 2 2 2. Oops, 2, and continue with the last one. This I'm going to let you enter the rest, but I'm typing only those 3 just to save some time. Or maybe you can type them all later on. 3 3 3. Okay, I will do something. And I'm going to for the next table. Oops. Okay, next table, the same idea. It's going to be this name later on, so it needs this TID. I'm going to go here, create a table, design, TID. This is number, field size integer, so number, and this is I for integer, and there's a rule like these three, and enter 3-digit number, so it looks like the same thing. And this needs to be probably a primary key, so I'm going to do it now before I forget. And tname text 30, and country lookup wizard. And okay, I can do this, remember again, I can do this with the lookup wizard. I will type my own values because this is the case, and I'm going to type all these next, in this list. With the tab key I can go to next ones. And back in Sudan, okay, Egypt, and KSA. Okay, I'm going just to, okay, very important, yes, it happened with some other sections, we had that problem. Some of you just go to next and click this allow multiple values. If you do this, you will have a lot of problems. So it happened in this section. Okay, so just don't do anything, leave these unchecked and just finish. And that's it. You can also, as you said, as we remember, we can, we said it before, remember, we can add this from here. Just you check these values, you can add it from here. And let's continue. The last one is the telephone. Text and input mask, we're going to do this. So text, the input mask. You remember what's the difference between the validation text and the input mask? That is? That's the difference. So, okay, let's continue. So it's almost the same, but with very minor difference from them. So we did this as a primary key, and then we save it as bsempt. Okay, so close, and then yes, okay. I found this tool really, helping, because whatever I do, you can see it on the screen, so you can know what is going on. Even actually without this, I should have been using that, because it helps even without recording. I think that's more interesting than trying to guess what I typed. Sometimes it's annoying because I click just on left click and it shows the left click, but anyway, it's better than nothing. So let's form wizard again. I'm selecting this table. Just make sure you select the right table for the form and finish. And let's enter some of these. So 1, and then tname. I type just S for Sudan, and then the number, copy, and there. 222, India, okay, 222, and then I, and the phone number, whatever, it's the same. And I'm going just to stop at 3. And I have to stop at 3 because I'm going to link these two. Remember that when we create a relationship, there are some conditions that needs to be verified. Remember that? No? Not sure? Okay, so let's have a look at, this is our table. This is the bsempt, and this is the courses. You notice that they have, like, these two tables, they have something in common, which is this TID, right? TID, I don't know how it showed up, it doesn't show up clearly there. But anyway, this is where we have the TID as a primary key in this table, and this is not a primary key in that table. Did you realize this is different from the previous exercise number 5, when both of them, they were a primary key, and we had to make a relationship. Remember, for the relationships, we go to database tools, and then relationships. I'm going to select them all, add, and close. And you see, I have now both of them are not the primary keys. So this one is a primary key here, but not a primary key there. When I have this case, I'm going to select from the primary key and point it to the other one. Why? Because this is the main table that has the ID of the employees, and this is where I have a reference of that table. So any ID that shows here has to be previously been added as a record in this table. And if I click on enforce refresh integrity and create, now I can see it's not 1 1, it's 1 many. Why did I select what? I don't understand when you say I selected direct relationships. Where is direct relationships? I'm looking, but I don't see where to look at. Uh, so the next thing is just to select this one and drag it and drop it. I mean, on the same one. Even if you make a mistake, it's not a big problem. You just need to make sure that at the end of this on this window, just to select what you need to be selecting. Very important to click on this one. Remember what's the difference? What happens if I don't check on this one? As if there's no relationship. Let me show it to you again. I'm not checking this. I'm just clicking on create. You can see that just a line. There's no numbers. But the thing I'm going to close this. You want to save yes. Let's have a look at these tables. I have this course and I have these employees. Okay. Can I do something like this? 444. Well, now the database allow me to do something like this, while normally it shouldn't. Why? Because there is no such. If I go to this employee table, who's this employee number 444? There is no one. So I have a problem. My database is not doesn't contain some valid information. So how to correct that? Well, let's make it back now there. When I go back then to save, when I go back to the relationships, and now when I create my relationship, I just click on enforce preferential integrity. Now if I click on OK, I see that there are some numbers, and if I go back here and I try to change this to something that does not exist in the other table, it will tell me you cannot add or change a record because a related record is required in table BS-EMP, which means there is no such thing as this one. But what would happen if I changed with this one? I can't? I can. Because I did not say that exactly. No, well, it says that, yeah. But the reason is not because it says that. The reason is because this field is not a primary key, which I mean it does not look for the values not to be duplicated. That's why. So we can. This is permissible, but it just checks that whatever you put here exists in the other table. And actually, in this case, it's fine because you might have one employee delivering many courses. One faculty, for example, have 2 courses, which is normal. So if you can have something like this. So one teacher is teaching this one and the other one, for example. That's fine. But having a teacher that doesn't exist who teaches a course, that's not fine. That's the thing about these relationships. Is it okay? So I think that's the main thing about the relationships. The last thing about here is just to go for the queries. Oh, there's this form. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to talk about it next class because I want you just to practice just now the relationships and making sure that you choose them correctly, and also the queries. And we're going to get back into that inshallah later on next week. We're going to be talking about forms, how to customize the forms inshallah. The query, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, I'm going to go for to do these queries. Some of them, maybe if they are not, well, they're just 2. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to do them both. Okay, let's go ahead. So query number 1. Let's go back here. I'm going to create a query. Create. Query design. I don't know. Let's see. I don't remember. And we're going to add those fields. Okay, where are those fields? TID, TName, country, CName, C-code. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select them both just to see all the names, and if I don't need the table, I'm going to remove it. Is this in one table or in multiple tables? TID, TName, TID, TName, country, no, so I have some of them from here, so I need both tables. Sometimes I don't need both tables, so I'm only using the tables that I need. But if I need them both, I'm going to use them both. So in this case, I need them both. So, okay, TID, which one should I use? This one or that one? It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's the same. So it doesn't matter. Choose whatever you want. Generally, I'm always selecting this one because it's the key, but it doesn't matter. You can select any one. T name, where's T name here? Okay, and then country and C name and C code. So this is C name and C code. I think if I just double click, it will do the same thing. Yeah, I think that's much. Sometimes don't need to. You just double click and double click. That's easier than just dragging and dropping. Yeah, sometimes you lose a lot of time trying to drag and drop. Okay, so the query in ascending order of TID. Okay, that's fine. Sort ascending. Query should display records and employees belonging to countries India or Sudan. So how can I do that? In criteria, I don't have India, so if I type something like this, it will not work. But I do have just int, right? And in Sudan, I have Sudan completely, so let's type Sudan. Yeah. Because of the or, it's very important to be on 2 lines. If it was, I can put also in 1 line, but type or myself. That's fine as well. I can do something like this. Okay, sorry, it's just looking for Sudan. Okay. I can do something like this, that's fine. It's the same thing. Yeah. So it's up to you. May I think this one is quite, easier because you don't have to type a lot of things. You just have to just, you know, put something like this. It says there's a problem because I just copied wrongly something. Okay, now save query Q1. That's fine. There's no mystery in this first query. Can I have a number? I just would like to go back, probably just as an example. This is not part of the exercise, but just as a review of how to make, sometimes you have some calculations and how to put them. So it doesn't make sense to have those calculations that I'm going to be doing, but just for the sake of the example. Imagine I'd like to have like this contact hours plus credit as a new field here. So I'm just, the best way, the easiest way is just to do the math operation. Just this is credit. Just write it down and press enter. Why I do it like that and see this, there's okay, this thing over there. I don't think it's going to be working. In the case when you have these names with this minus or this, now you have a problem. If you try to run, it's going to tell you what is C, and even if you give C something, what is hours, and this is not something interesting. Why? Because it took the C minus hours as like C, a column, a field named C, and another field named hours, and the first one minus the second one. And so in order to avoid this, we use the brackets. In the cases where we have those C minus hours, and this is just one field, okay, before it I'm going to put a bracket. I open the bracket and I close the bracket. So this just to tell Access this is one field, not an operation.
Does that work with backslash?
No. Backslash will not work there. Credit backslash works only for those when you use this input masks. So now you see this one plus that one. If we just run the query for fun just to see, it's actually working. It gives a right operation. And then if I don't want to see this is the caption, the label. If I would like to have something different, just very easy. Then you can just, if I'm telling you name it, give it a name. You choose whatever name I'm telling you, and then you have it there. So that's more interesting and more easier than trying to type everything at once. And sometimes you get confused. Very important. I'm going to use this one because it's okay. It's funny. Never put something here. Never. When you're using these formulas, don't select the table because there's no need. It's not a table. This is part of a table. Okay, we're destroying everything. So okay, so this is just a small, just refreshing the memory about those forms. It has nothing to do with this exercise, but okay, I think it was interesting. Let's go back to the second query. I think the second query doesn't have a lot of things except that there's an end on different fields. Probably, maybe not really challenging, but anyways. But I'm going to show you something interesting. I'm looking at here and I can realize that they are almost the same, right? If you look at the columns, It's almost the same column. It's actually not almost, it's exactly the same columns that are into display. So it will be interesting if I just can copy this query and then work on it. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I just right click and copy, and then right click somewhere and paste. And it tells me what's the name of the new query. I'm going to name it query 2, and just make sure I'm going to rename it just to have the same, naming convention with capital. And then right click and design view of the query 2. I'm going to apply whatever need to be applied. Like sort the query and ascending order of TID, that's fine, it's already there. And then query should display records of employees belonging to country USA and TID 666. So country, this should be just USA. And
It's US, not USA.
yeah, true, very good. Because I forgot that in our tables we don't have USA, we have like US and UK. So yeah, very good. So I should just type US because USA will not be a condition that is going to help us. And in the TID, I want it to be and, so 666 is going to be in the criteria. So that's it. Very important also, in any exam or a quiz, if I tell you to do something and then if you run it you see no results, it doesn't mean that this is wrong. Maybe some queries will not return any result, because when I'm going to check your result, your work, I'm just going to go to the design view and see that you have put the conditions at the right place. I'm not going to go here and see there's no result, oh, you're going to lose some marks. Okay, so very important, just make sure you put the conditions correctly. It doesn't matter for this result to be empty. Sometimes this is what I want. We want it to be empty. Okay, what happened if instead of and it was like or? How would you do this? If instead of and I had or, what would be the change that I will need to be doing in this database?
Put it in another line.
Very good. Yeah, it should not be on the same line. Just put it on the other line,